All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Today's the 15th of July, 2025. This is our main side, one of our fourths under In the Image Clothing Company. And what we do is allow the human body to work. We come at it through clothing because it's the only thing placed onto us. The body has a center line. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, naturally stabilizing our entire body. On Earth's gravity, there's feet opposing the center, gripping inward, arches, keeping us vertical. Clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, and be made from 100% natural materials, otherwise our bodies are damaged. Now, we do a lot more than that though. There's 3 other sides. I'll very briefly talk about them. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, we specialize in purebred standard poodles. We do a lot of advocating, breeding standard poodles, events titled poodle parades. There's a lot that we do. I'm gonna kind of run quickly through the 3 sides though, okay? In the Image Clothing Company music, I allow the body to work, meaning I give information on how to, through playing guitar, okay, keeping our bodies unaltered in the neutral wrist position, so sizing and setup of guitars I show. There's In the Image Clothing Company podcast with discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're on episode 146 as of the last one that we filmed up until today's date. It's really great. And the goal for all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company is natural, just allowing the body to work. So we can only do that. You can't train the body. It's just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. Everything just has a neutral joint, meaning all the joints just have a neutral position in the body, and then it just works, okay? So what I talk about is a lot of things that are not just clothing. Eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, hydration, breathing, all these things, okay? Because I know the anatomy of the human body in depth, and that's really what we're rooted in, like I'm saying, allowing the body to work. So yes, clothing products and dog products, poodle, puppies, InTheImageClothingCompany.com, okay? But with our clothing staying centered, fitting correct, being made from 100% natural materials, the big thing with eating is the corners of our mouths. And not only eating, but clothing, okay? That's what this video is about. If I didn't say it, holy cow, I don't know why I feel flustered, but the corners of the mouths and the importance of them, okay? The importance of the corners of the mouths. Let's get into this because it's not only eating and things that are actually touching our mouths, but it's things like clothing. Clothing has to stay in the same location for everybody, and we talk about where that is on In the Image Clothing Company's main side. But the reason for that is because the body's neutrals, okay? The collarbone angle, there's a neutral position, okay? On both sides, it needs to be even, and our tops need to be even, right? I'll talk about where tops sit in this. The tops of our clothing, okay? The seams on top need to be evenly behind our shoulders. Our shoulders just only ever work behind our head. And the seams at the edges should be just right at the very edges of our shoulders, just because that's where the functionality of the shoulder joint is. And then our bodies can just work, okay, without restriction, at least for the tops. We talk about where clothing sits, and that's the big thing, right? Is allowing it to sit correct, free modifications that we show. You don't have to purchase In the Image Clothing Company clothing to allow your body to work. Now, the big thing is, if our collarbones aren't at their neutral height, okay, and they're dropped, our jaw will drop, okay, as well. Our jaw naturally stabilizes our entire body. There's musculature that comes from the collarbones and from the shoulders up into the head and into the jaw. The lower jaw muscles come up into the head, clear up here above the ears. So there's a lot going on with the jaw. And we have a video titled Eating and Drinking with Your Left Hand, okay, under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, because we live in a right-handed world, which we have a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company titled The Right-Handed World. Clothing patterns themselves are right-handed. Things that are designed to be used with just one hand are right-hand dominant design, because 85%, give or take, of the population of the earth is. So the corners of our mouths need to seal, okay? We breathe through either our mouth or our nose, and ideally our nose, okay? The nose has hairs that filter the air. The nose is just a different passageway, okay, to breathe through, meaning that's what it's designed to do. The mouth, the big thing with it too is the jaw. is the mouth, and the jaw needs to stay in its neutral position to stabilize the entire body, okay? And if our mouths can't close and seal well, then we're not going to be able to breathe through our nose, because even though you have the option of breathing through either of the two, they go to the same place, the trachea, which is in the center of the body, okay? And the trachea is just a tube in the throat of cartilage, okay? And if we can't seal our mouth, then we're going to be just breathing through our mouth. Because if you try to breathe through your nose when your mouth's not fully sealed at the corners, just meaning closed all the way, to where air's not like leaking through, okay? Because your shoulder seams on your clothing are just in places that are pulling on your jaw, and you can't actually lift your lower jaw and close your mouth, then you're not going to be able to breathe through your nose. It's just going to always be coming through your mouth, because it's either one or the other, really, right? And you need to be able to fully seal your mouth to properly breathe through your nose, to have your body in its proper working position, to properly filter the air you breathe in that, you know, goes through the filtration of the nose hairs. So there's a lot going on. And then also just keeping the nose centered is a big thing that comes through clothing, because we'll just be breathing more on one side if our clothing's falling to one side because it's not centered, right? The dreaded collar seam modification under In The Image Clothing Company, keeping collars centered, a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, right? So all these things are really affecting the whole body through all of it. The big thing is with eating, like I mentioned a few minutes ago here, we have spoons that are made out of metal. We have cups that are made out of plastic. The edges of a metal spoon or a fork can be pretty sharp, really. The edges of a plastic cup or any material, right, but that is going to be sharp against your mouth. Picture, right, like I said, eating and drinking with your left hand is something that doesn't really happen with people who are right-handed. Oversized clothing falling to the right side. You can't even really get your left side up here because your right side has to work well for that to happen, right? The dreaded collar seam in tops is almost always on the left side, which places your top off to your right side. So your right side is just going to be the one you'll go to pick something up to drink or to eat, because it's already just falling toward the table or wherever your food or drink is. So anyway, yeah, okay, we didn't do a lot of things here. I get into the anatomy of the human body in depth in a lot of ways throughout the entirety of it. But let's say you drink out of a cup and the edges of the cup are pretty sharp, and you put the edges of that cup right into the corner of your mouth. Yeah, I was gonna say two mouths, right in the corners of your mouth though, right? And it's cutting away at the skin of the opening of your mouth. So now it's not going to seal well here on the corners. But this is the big thing, is if you're almost always using only your right hand, it's your right side of your mouth here that's getting so inhibited, pulled off to the right side, actually physically cut. You know, there's a lot of plastic packaging that sometimes we like eat things out of, and that edge of that plastic can be very sharp and it can cut your mouth on the corner, just little bits over time, and then you're eating every day, right? You're using a spoon and it's sharp on the edges, and maybe you don't think it's really cutting your lip, you're not, or like the corners of where your lips meet, the upper lip and the lower lip, you're not actually seeing blood, you know, it's not really cutting, except I think, you know, just about everybody, I'm almost certain, has experiences where they have, you know, eaten or drank out of something and it's cut the corner of your mouth where you can tell, like, yeah, that actually cut pretty well. That's only going to be your right hand, just about, okay, for just about everybody, if you're only using your right hand, besides very occasionally using your left. So drinking and eating with your left hand, like I'm saying, is so important, but we shouldn't let things touch the corners of our mouths. When you eat, when you drink things, a big thing that we do talk about as well is taking small bites and sips. We talk about that often. I made a video one time on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company titled Taking Smaller Bites and Sips. But really what we eat should only fit within the bed of our teeth, not in our cheeks, because our cheeks need to sit nicely against the outside of our teeth to keep our jaw centered. And When we drink, same thing. Just take small sips, leave it within only the bed of your teeth. Let the food or the liquid sit there and mix with your saliva. Saliva is the first form of digestion for the body before it ever even gets down to your abdomen, to your digestive system. Saliva is like I thought of this word the other day, like a neutralizer for what we eat and drink before just some foreign thing gets put into our bodies, okay? But the big thing with all this is keep the corners of the mouth not only not cut by, right, plastic, metal, anything, even food itself. Sometimes like something like bread, you know, dry and hard, like a pizza maybe, or like a piece of toast, or really anything, you know, even if you're just eating off of a bone. Okay, I'm vegetarian, but right, I just mean anything that could possibly be sharp against the corners of your mouth. Don't let that happen, for the sake of keeping the center of your mouth in the center of your body and able to seal well so you can breathe through your nose. But then also, when you eat, just keep the corners of your mouth clean, because this is another thing, is when you're eating, there's a goose sound there. When you're eating food, sometimes we'll get stuff all over our lips while we're eating, and then while you're chewing, your lips aren't sealed, and so you're training the musculature of your face and your jaw and your neck more like this, because your lips can't seal well to tuck your chin back and keep your body neutral. This goose is making a lot of noise. I'm not upset, but it's like, I wonder what's going on with it. Like, why is it making that much sound? Because it was like traveling across the river right here as it was doing it too. Yeah, anyway, so there you go, okay? Keep the corners of your mouth clean, keep your lips clean, really, but for the sake of this video, it's emphasizing the corners of the mouth, and try not to cut them. And what you'll notice is, after years of patterning, what we do here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company with allowing the human body to work is get out of chronic scar tissue and patterning from oversized clothing, imbalanced clothing, and really all the things that it comes to coming from, right? Being right-handed, eating and drinking with just your right hand, right? These are the things that we do under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. And so while we're getting out of these patternings, a big thing is, yeah, your face, your physical face, musculature, the openings, you know, deviated septums where your nose is imbalanced and your eyebrows move over, even your mouth opening moves over from what we're talking about in this video. So keeping the whole body centered, we have to, because Earth's gravity, and there's two sides to us, right? Even if you've got a little bit of a deformed body or an amputated body or whatever, right? In ways, there's still a center of gravity. That's the big thing I talk about, is it doesn't matter what you want to do workout wise or anything, or if you care about those things is what I mean. But we're on Earth's gravity, and the body's just a mechanical machine. So breathing is the big thing, and it needs to be able to happen evenly. And then even speaking though, our mouth just needs to open evenly. Otherwise, it's always going to be opening to just one side, and you can't actually go to the other side, which is almost always the left, the side that's inhibited. Because the opening of your mouth will just pull your head to the right if the opening of your mouth is to the right. Okay, so yeah, lots of things we talk about. This is one of them, the importance of the corners of the mouth. Okay, so the need to look left and the mechanics of looking left are a couple of videos we have under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. The need to turn right, okay, turning right and looking left are the same thing mechanically. Anyway, the human body, it all connects, and so it's all affecting everything else. Everything has a role to play, and the mouth is something that gets overlooked, and it can be causing knee pain, it can be causing shoulder pain, it can be causing breathing imbalances, it can be causing your feet to change their rotations that travel up to your hips. Okay, the hands are essentially the shoulders, the feet are essentially the hips. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. So there you go. Okay, we'll talk about a lot of things, and we do where we do. We have hundreds of videos as of today's date. Stick around for the poodle parade events. I actually cleaned, yes, but filmed a video titled An Introduction to Clean the Creek Poodle Parade Events in this same location right here. You can check that out on In The Image Clothing Company Poodles if you'd like to. Check out music I make if you'd like, In the Image Clothing Company music, and In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Okay, like I said, the 4 sides to us. Stick around, and there you go. Okay, thank you. Like I said, my name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. I know there's construction noise right there. It's kind of funny. I mean, there's a natural river here. You're hearing geese, and then there's also construction right there. But yeah, today's the 15th of July, 2025. That is the importance of the corners of the mouth, okay? But that's a big thing to remember is your clothing needs to be sitting where it needs to sit. Otherwise, your jaw will be changed, and that will just pull on the skin of your mouth. Yeah, okay. So, yep. Pants need to be entirely above the hips, slightly higher in the front than the rear. 2 prerequisites we have, as in the Image Clothing Company: shoelacing technique under In the Image Clothing Company. That's what we title it. The only way you can weave a rope across the top of the human foot without altering its mechanics. We also tie our shoes evenly over toward the center line on both feet, okay, because there's 2 sides to the body. And then removing all tags from anywhere in clothing is our second prerequisite. Okay, I say those things at the beginning normally. I said where tops sit, and then I kind of moved on through the video. So there you go. Okay, thank you, and thank you. Goodbye.